Welcome to Uncharted Wonders, where today we unravel the final chapter of one of the greatest spiritual leaders in history, Gautama Buddha. Known as the Enlightened One, the Buddha's teachings have transcended centuries, guiding millions toward a path of peace and liberation. But like all beings, the Buddha too faced the inevitable end of life. In today's video, we'll explore how, when, and where Gautama Buddha died. His death, referred to as Parinirvana, marks a profound moment in the history of Buddhism. Stay tuned as we journey back in time to uncover the truth behind his last days. After decades of spreading his teachings, Gautama Buddha entered his 80th year, signaling the final chapter of his earthly life. His health had begun to decline, and he sensed the approaching end. Despite his physical condition, the Buddha embarked on what is known as his final journey. Starting from Rajagaha, modern-day Rajgir, he traveled through several towns, continuing to teach his disciples and the laypeople he met along the way. The journey was long and tiring, yet the Buddha showed remarkable resilience. His destination was Kushinagar, a small town in present-day Uttar Pradesh, India. It is believed he chose this place intentionally, knowing it would be his final resting place. One of the most intriguing and debated events leading up to the Buddha's death was his last meal, offered by a blacksmith named Kunda. The meal consisted of a dish called sukarmadava. There has been much speculation about what this dish was. Some say it was pork, while others argue it was a type of mushroom. Soon after consuming the meal, the Buddha began to feel severe pain and became gravely ill. Despite his suffering, he instructed his followers not to blame Kunda, stating that the meal was given with pure intentions. This incident remains a topic of historical and religious debate, raising questions about what really caused his sudden illness. Weary from his travels and weakened by illness, the Buddha reached the outskirts of Kushinagar. By this time, his condition had worsened significantly, and he knew his death was imminent. He instructed his disciples to prepare a resting place for him between two sala trees. The scene was serene yet somber. The trees are said to have bloomed out of season, as if nature itself was paying homage to the great teacher. Here, in this quiet forest grove, the Buddha lay down on his right side, assuming the lion posture, a traditional meditative position symbolizing calmness and peace. He faced the west, gazing toward the setting sun, a metaphor for the end of his earthly journey. Despite his ailing health, the Buddha continued to impart wisdom to his followers. He called his closest disciples, including Ananda, and gave them his final teachings. These words are now known as the Buddha's last sermon. He reminded them of the impermanence of all things, urging them to practice mindfulness and compassion. One of his most famous statements during this time was, "All composite things are perishable. Strive for your own liberation with diligence." These words encapsulated his entire philosophy, emphasizing the transient nature of life and the importance of personal effort in achieving enlightenment. As the full moon rose over Kushinagar, the Buddha entered a deep state of meditation, preparing himself for the ultimate release from the cycle of birth and rebirth, a state known as Parinirvana. This moment is considered one of profound spiritual significance in Buddhism. Parinirvana is not just physical death. It is the final liberation from the cycles of samsara, the continuous loop of birth, death, and rebirth. For his followers, this was a bittersweet moment. While they mourned the loss of their beloved teacher, they also understood that he had reached the pinnacle of spiritual freedom. The news of the Buddha's passing spread quickly among his disciples and lay followers. They gathered around his body, mourning his departure with deep sorrow. Ananda, his closest disciple, was inconsolable. The Buddha's teachings had been a guiding light for many, and his absence left a profound void. However, even in their grief, the disciples remembered his final instructions, to continue practicing the Dhamma and share it with the world. The scene was filled with both sadness and reverence, as they understood that his teachings would live on even if he no longer walked among them. Following the ancient customs of the time, the Buddha's body was respectfully prepared for cremation. The ceremony was a grand affair, attended by kings, monks, and laypeople alike. His body was placed in a golden coffin and carried through the town in a solemn procession. The cremation site was adorned with flowers and incense, creating an atmosphere of deep spirituality. After the fire had consumed the physical remains, the relics, known as sarira, were carefully collected. These relics became objects of immense veneration and were divided among various kingdoms, enshrined in stupas that continue to be places of pilgrimage to this day. The passing of Gautama Buddha marked a pivotal moment in the history of Buddhism. It was a turning point that led to the widespread dissemination of his teachings. His death was not seen as an end but as a transition, reinforcing the core Buddhist concept of impermanence. The site of his Parinirvana, Kushinagar, became a major pilgrimage destination, attracting followers from all over the world. Over time, stupas, temples, and monuments were built to honor his memory. Even today, millions of Buddhists visit Kushinagar to pay their respects and meditate on the teachings of the Enlightened One. Gautama Buddha's death is a powerful reminder of the impermanent nature of life. It teaches us that even the greatest spiritual leaders are not exempt from the laws of nature. His legacy, however, continues to inspire countless people in their pursuit of wisdom and compassion. As we conclude this video, let us reflect on his final words, a call to practice diligence in our own spiritual journeys. If you found this video informative and insightful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more historical explorations, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and may the teachings of the Buddha guide you toward peace and enlightenment.